In this lesson, I want to cover off HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and explain what they are and how they get used within a website. So essentially, we see that we've got a typical website here. We've got some content that's being displayed to us, and we can take a look and we see that it gets represented. So we've got like company name, we've got a navigation bar. So if you want to see what this looks like, you can look at the source of any website, and we see that it's got a lot of code here, and it looks nothing like what's being represented within the browser. So what's happening here is that this is being saved as an HTML file, and whenever the browser tries to open an HTML file, it actually knows what to do with that extension of file, that it knows to read through and render out that content. And essentially every web page is structured within that same type of format, where we've got the indicator for what type of HTML document it is. Then we've got our HTML opening tags, and this is where all of the HTML content gets placed. We've got what's called a head, and we've got what's called the body. So the head section is for HTML to provide general information about the website. So this is generally not seen by the web user other than the title. This is just meta information to help your browser better render out the content and render it out as intended. And then essentially the body section is a series of opening and closing tags, and we've got some self-closing tags as well within HTML. And this is essentially a set of instructions of what type of content we want to actually output within the website. So we see here that as we update some content, we can add in new content, and we see that how it gets rendered out there. If we add in some tags here, and this is just a simple paragraph tag, we can see that it adds them in as paragraphs. So it adds some predefined structure into the content as it gets rendered out within the browser. So this is typical HTML, and within the upcoming sections, we're going to be going over all of the commonly used HTML tags and creating elements, and so for you to become more familiar with how to create websites. And when we start creating a website, we start with HTML, because HTML is the content, and it actually provides the structure for us to add styling later on into our website. So first we build out the structure of our website. Essentially, it's a series of containers that each contain a different set of instructions for the browser to render out. And now when it comes to adding in styling, styling is what makes the website look like it does. We see that within the HTML, so I've just got that web page open, and we see within the HTML, so we've got all of these containers of content, and they're all producing and they're all outputting in a nice way within the browser. So this is all done through styling. So if I was to remove the styling off the page, our web page would look completely different. So this is without any styling. This is just plain HTML. So we see that we've created the structure of it, and we apply styling to make it look the way that we want to represent the website. So this is without styling, and this is with styling, so completely different. And this is also where we add in the responsive capabilities of the website, and we style out the navigation bar, adding in colors, and really getting a good look and feel for our website, making it look like the way that we want it to look. Now, when it comes to JavaScript, so JavaScript is something also that gets rendered out in the browser. So these are the three core languages that get rendered out in the browser. So this is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And when it comes to JavaScript, this gives us dynamic capabilities within the website. So JavaScript works within the HTML code as well. So what happens when your browser renders out and reads through all that HTML code, it creates what's called the DOM, the document object model, and JavaScript has the ability to interact and make any one of your HTML elements interactive. So we've got some simple JavaScript here where we're actually going to be outputting different values here depending on whenever we're over this particular element. We see that the X and the Y is changing. So we know that the position of the X and the Y, but only when it's over that particular element. So this is dynamic interaction, and essentially when the user comes in and does something within your web page, this is done by JavaScript. So any one of these click events or entering in any kind of dynamic content, having something change on your website, this can all be accomplished through JavaScript. And it really is truly amazing all the cool things that you can do with JavaScript. You can literally just let your imagination go wild as you produce these cool, great dynamic interactive effects with JavaScript. And there is a lot of information and stuff you can access via JavaScript as well. So this is just a simple example of bringing JavaScript into your web project. So we're going to be covering as well, we've got a section on JavaScript covering over the fundamental core concepts of JavaScript if you're not familiar with JavaScript. So that's coming up in the JavaScript section of this course.